Yo guys, welcome back. Today was the launch for Season 3 demo on the first Descendant and also a patch for the game, so we'll be reviewing everything in the demo and then going over the patch notes where we received weapon balance among other things like new skins. I'm live on Twitch all day going over the demo and working on builds for some of the weapon balance if needed. So if you have any questions, feel free to stop by the stream. Link is in the description. With that out of the way, let's get into it. So coming into the demo, the first thing you're going to be brought up with is selecting either Nell, Bunny, or Freyna. I of course I'm gonna go with Nell here. We're just gonna cover Nell. We're not gonna be covering the others. Nico, thank you for the $50 tip for my birthday. I appreciate you. So yeah, we're gonna be going with Nell here. We're not gonna be reviewing the other two characters, and we're gonna go over everything. We have a Greg's built pretty decently. Mods and everything has maxed out cores on them as well. Now for the weapons, you don't have other selections for the mods, just what they give you. And there also is an Albion Cavalry in here, but be aware the Albion Cavalry is not mounted to your reactor, which is a non-attribute fusion reactor with cooldown and range. And then we have the new set here, the ballistic trackers. For the 2-piece set, you're getting weak point damage plus 5%, and for the 4-piece set, which is, I'm guessing, making her into a mobber with a gun, it's going to be weak point attack with a firearm, grants 1 stack of trajectory analysis, up to 2 stacks, 10-second duration. When attacking a weak point with a firearm at 2 stacks of trajectory analysis, deals ricochet damage around the hit enemy up to 5 enemies. Ricochet damage deals damage equal to 8.5% of firearm damage, increasing in damage by plus 2.75% per ricochet. And they also set Nell up with some modules here, and they also 60-catted her. What an absolute bunch of gamers we have as developers. Now we'll go over her abilities. She has breach projection. This fires a barrage of breach shards, dealing damage to hit enemies. If the enemy hit is inflicted with scan, an additional effect is triggered, so that additional effect is going to be additional damage 100%. Gaze of the Abyss cooldown reduction, which is going to be your 4th ability. And then it also does burst damage, explosion damage range, and the max expendable range is 200%. Then we have her second ability, Breach Link. This creates an arcade breach at a designated location, inflicts a debuff on enemies near the created arcade breach, and spawns an anti-gravity field on the ground. The debuff of arcade breach intensifies over time and further weakens adaptive defense. Reusing the skill retrieves the breach. On retrieval, the anti-gravity field disappears, dealing explosion damage to the area, refunding a portion of the cooldown. Then you have her third ability, Gravitic Reversal. Detonates an arcade breach, causing a gravitic reversal. This pulls enemies near the arcade breach and deals explosion damage. And then this is going to be her firearm attack buff here, grants Gaze of the Abyss. All firearm attacks from Nell target weak points, increasing the weak point damage of herself and nearby allies, while Gaze of Abyss is active, hitting a target inflicted with scan with a breach shard increases duration of Gaze of the Abyss. And this is going to give you a 35% weak point damage increase. And then we have our passive. I'm sorry, it's all very wordy here. Using your scan on enemies in the front, attacking enemies inflicted with scan deals additional damage. Enemies under the reticule are guaranteed to be inflicted with scan. If the reticule is on a weak point of a Colossus, scan is applied to that weak point. Efficiency increases when disarming encrypted vaults, and rewards increase when decryption is complete. And then she is set up for a arcade tuning here, which is built into firearms, which is fine. It didn't really matter. I actually did try going to skills a little bit and sticking with the firearms and just using your Gregs. Probably going to be your best bet here to take down the little mini bosses you're going to be fighting. They absolutely get melted. So let's go over the new guns real quick, and this is going to be the Eraser. So this is the new scout rifle, and we can look into its unique ability here. On hitting an enemy, grants Analyze. Analyze converts to degrade at max stacks. When degrade is in effect, firing creates degrading enzymes at the hit location. Enemies hit by degrading enzymes suffer weakened adaptive defense. So Analyze is going to be acquired on enemy hit 1, acquired on enemy hit 3, max stacks of 15, with degrading enzyme with a range of 4 meters, 10-second duration, continuous damage interval 1 seconds, and this is going to be a firearm damage increase of 23.1%, and the final damage multiplier duration is going to be 5 seconds, and it's going to strip 20% toxin resist. And then we have our Exterminator, which is the new launcher, which is quite fun from when I did use it, and this seemed pretty strong. Not going to say it's going to overtake the restored relic, but we will see. When holding aim, targeting designates targets on the screen. When firing, fires explosive rounds at the targeted enemies. Explosive rounds deal additional damage to cluster sacks, cluster tunnels, and assault ships, and have powerful effect on special units such as laser claws and steel pincers. I did use this to shoot the ships down, and they absolutely got melted. Basic information: number of targets 6, targeting time 0.5 seconds, range is going to be 5 meters. And then you have your explosive rounds, your additional damage to razor claw and steel pincers, and your cluster sack, cluster tunnel, and assault ships, also additional damage. So this is going to be where we get to test out the new hover bike. It's going to be showing you how to mount it and then the controls for it. And we'll be making our way to the middle of the map, I'm assuming, where Wall Crasher is going to be located. You'll be queuing up with us with 7 other people. All right, so now let's go over the hot fix for the game with the patch notes. The beginning is just going to be about the demo. I'm not really going to go over that. There are rewards for trying the demo out as well. I suggest if you have the game already downloaded, make sure you just do give it a try. Get these rewards. It's free. Then we're going to get to the shop and all the new wonderful skins they have added to the game. I'm not really going to go over these either. I'm not going to sit here and read all this. Some new paint, some new skins, some hair dye. Barbie's Play Place 2025. The performance for the following weapons has been adjusted. This is going to be the weapon rebalance. This is what we really want to get into. All unique abilities are displayed based on level 4. Attribute damage is displayed based on level 100 weapons. So the final masterpiece has received a buff. Some unique abilities. So the final masterpiece has received a buff. Some unique abilities have been buffed. So basically just a damage buff to the 5 procs for the final masterpiece, and then attribute damage has been increased substantially, and weak point damage as well. The Python has received an attribute damage increase. Not sure why. Same thing with the Excava. These are 2 great guns already, just making them stronger. It is what it is. I don't agree with those 2, but they are now stronger. The Enduring Legacy also received a buff. I don't think much is going to change here with Enduring Legacy. This was not really its flaws. Its flaws were coming from its cores. Then we have the Thunder Cage, which is going to receive additional damage from the unique ability, from 200% to 400%. And then the attribute damage added, electric attack 9,176. Definitely going to make this gun stronger. This will be good for a lot of people coming back to the game that specifically probably only have Thunder Cage because they haven't played it so long. The Fallen Hope has had the unique ability stats increased on hit of an enemy inflicted with poison. The firearm attack has received a 35% increase, and attribute damage has increased from 4,700 to 12,429. That's a very substantial increase as well. The Divine Punishment, the attack up from the unique ability Glory, has been increased from 0.7% to 1.4%. The attribute damage has been increased from 6,900 to 9,000, and the weak point damage has been increased to 1.56. The Albion Cavalry has also received a buff. Very wild for this one, as well as the other ones I mentioned. This is already one of the best guns in the game. Not sure why it's buffed, but here we are. Firearm critical hit rate on hit of an enemy inflicted with mark from 30 to 33%. The ricochet damage has been increased from 32 to 39%, and the attribute damage has also been increased. Like I said, this is already one of the best guns in the game, and well, now it's even better. The Secret Garden weak point damage increased. Cool. Kingsguard Lance, Guardian Lance, has received a damage increase. This is a very substantial buff for specifically Sharon if you want to run her ambush perma invis build. This is a huge buff for that. She's already one of the top purge clearers, and this is just going to bring her up the chart as well. Clairvoyance has received an attribute damage increase with a weak point damage increase. Nothing too major here. This is mostly a gun you're using in purge on a support character, but hey, more damage, faster Greg dies. Then Voltia has received a damage increase as well. Naz has received a attribute damage has been added. Toxic 19,000. Weak point damage has been increased from 1.7 to 5.19. I'm sure you can do some fancy things with this gun now, specifically maybe beating down some of these lower level Colossus in a few shots. We'll have to see about that. Damage of unique ability, explosive scanner has been increased on the perforator, and weak point damage has also been increased. This could possibly be good for Nell. We'll have to see. Depends how you're going to build this gun. It's something we'll look into next season. The Peacemaker, weak point damage is increased. Wave of Light, firearm attack. Wave of Light, wow. Once again, we're buffing one of the best guns in the game. Firearm attack on hit of an enemy affected by the unique ability. Lunar Halo has been increased from 10% to 20%. Attribute damage has been increased from 24% to 28%. And weak point damage has increased from 1.8 to 2.32. Your Blue Beetle attribute damage has been increased, and weak point damage has been increased. Frost Watcher received a buff. Afterglow Sword, Piercing Light. And just a quick note here from my chat. They're informing me that Void Vessel is in fact bugged in the second phase, where you got to get the bombs and put them in the thing to move on. The thing is just not there, and you cannot move on. Well, we'll continue with the patch notes now. We have content improvements for cores. Gold cost for crafting cores will be reduced. This is fantastic. Very, very good. Good change to the game. We like that. And then we're just talking about events. We have a bunch of UI, UX improvements. We are also seeing changes to the Party Finder system. Nothing too drastic here. I think one thing they need to do with the Party Finder system is that when you join somebody, you may have joined for one thing, but they can pretty much queue for whatever they feel like. Probably not a good system because, yeah, I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. Fix an issue where the number of small fireballs generated when using Deadly Cuisine while Blair's Backdraft was equipped was incorrectly displayed in the tooltip before 3, after 5. Why does my fucking browser be doing that? And then under miscellaneous, a couple things here. Fix an issue where the scan would display all attributes as weakness when a monster had identical resistances to all attributes. Fix an issue where combining multiple modules at once in quests with combined modules requirements would only count as one completion. I did get scammed by that. I'm sure many others did. So that's a very nice change. And that covers everything for the Season 3 update and patch notes for the first Descendant. Any questions, let me know in the comments. Thanks, guys. Peace.